Alright, let's get started with writing our very first program using C#. We'll be writing a program that might be familiar to some of you who have learned other programming languages. We'll be writing the Hello World program. Go ahead and open up Visual Studio, then click on the tab that says Create a New Project. Go ahead and look for the console app.NET Core, select it, and hit Next. You can change the project name or you can leave it as the default and click Create. So now that our project is open, we see that we already have some code written inside. We have this class called program and this method called main. Within main, we have this line of code that says console.writeLine hello world. Let's go ahead and see what this program does by running it. We can run programs by clicking F5 or clicking the green play button at the top. We see a console app opens with the message hello world. Let's go ahead and close this out and look at the code. It's obvious to us that this code simply does basic output to the user. We can see that we have this type called console with this method called writeLine. WriteLine uses a string, and the string passes in whatever message that string is. Let's go ahead and use the syntax to write another message. Let's write a message that says, this is my first string. So we're going to write console.writeLine, followed by the parentheses, then, with the double quotations, this is my first string. Lastly, we want to make sure our code ends with a semicolon. Without the semicolon, the compiler won't know when to stop. Then, hit F5 to run your program. Now, we see a console app with the message, hello world, this is my first string. Now that we know a little bit more about strings, let's continue on our program and make it a little more interactive by using variables. Let's go ahead and remove these two lines of code. Variables are just like variables in algebra. It is a symbol that can have different values depending on the context. You can think of it as an alternate name for a value. To create a variable for a string, simply declare the type. In this case, our type is string, then followed by the variable name. In this case, we're going to write a program that just says, hello, Ryan Holland. So I'm going to name my variable my name, and I'm going to set it to the value Ryan Holland. Now, we're going to go ahead and use the same syntax, console.writeLine, followed by, this time, we're going to use a $sign to use what is called string interpolation. That way we can use the variable inside the double quotations. So, we're going to say, hello, and then we're going to use the curly braces, which C# is famous for, and we're going to use the variable name. Lastly, we're going to add our semicolon, and we're going to hit F5 to run our program. Now we see our console displays the message, hello Ryan Holland. Now, lastly, let's talk about input. We know that we can output to the user by using console.writeLine. We can also accept input from our user using console.readLine. Let's write a simple app that asks our user for their name and then says, it's nice to meet you, using their name. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is remove this value that I have in my variable. Then I'm going to change the message to ask for the user's name. Now I'm going to stuff the variable with the value that the user inputs using the console.readLine syntax. Then, now all we have to do is use this variable in an output message saying, it's nice to meet you. Now we see the console, it asks you for your name. If I input my name, it's going to spit out, hello, it's nice to meet you, Ryan. So now that we know a little bit more about user input and user output and strings, we can learn a little bit more about the different types within C# to make our programs a little more interesting and dynamic. So I hope to see you in the next video.